Hey everyone, what's going on? It's your good buddy Sam, and it's time for another exciting Max MSP tutorial. So before we get started, I just have a very quick announcement. So not Friday the 12th, but starting on Friday the 19th. What I'd like to do, I want to start doing office hours, setting aside some time where if you wanted to meet up and ask some questions, where we could do that. So starting on the 19th from 2 to 4, I'm going to be at Harvest Works in Manhattan, and if you want to come by, I'm happy to help you out with whatever might be going on, whether it be about patching or programming or relationships. Although, to be honest, my relationship advice is basically going to boil down to, avoid relationships and spend more time patching and programming. So you have to take that advice with a grain of salt. But anyway, yeah, if you're in the area and you wanna, you wanna chat, definitely feel free to come by. All right, so what are we gonna talk about today? Well, today I woke up this morning and looked outside, and lo and behold, we're getting dumped on here in New York. Lots of snow, and I don't know if you know, there are literally three things in life that make me happy, and those things are in no particular order: Max, hard liquor, and snow. And as you can see, it's 10:10. It's maybe a little bit early for the hard liquor. I'll probably try to hold back until 10:30 or so. But to celebrate this snowy day, let's make a snowy patch. And in so doing, let's push the limits of our computers, because that's always good to do. So let's start by making a jit.world object, as we sometimes do, and let's make in particular a jit.world. Let's do at floating 1, at fsaa 1, at fs menu bar 0. That'll make a floating window, which is nice. Let's also do at erase color 000. I hate the gray erase color that this thing always has. Throw in a toggle. Make this a bit smaller. Oh, sweet, it's got scroll bars now. Is that because I shrunk it? Yeah, it's probably because I shrunk it from the wrong corner. Oh my god. I never... wow, bug report. Okay, let's remake that window. And then shrink it down like that. Wow, don't shrink it from the bottom left corner, I guess. Okay, and last thing, let's do that full screen trick we sometimes do. So key cell 27, and then let's throw in a toggle and fs full screen $1, so that we can toggle full screen on and off. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do today is I got really inspired by that patch that we were looking at a few days ago, the Masato's patch, and I want to use gen to do some particle type stuff. So the basic idea with particles is you have a matrix. Your matrix stores the x, y, and z position of a bunch of points, and then you draw those points. That's it. It's as simple as that, really. So let's start with jit.matrix. And I'm going to call this matrix position, and it's going to be a 3-plane matrix of type float 32, and let's give it for now dimension 10,000. 10,000 points. Believe me, we can draw a lot more than that, but we'll start at 10,000. So I'm going to make a bang to bang out this matrix, and then I want to send this matrix out once every frame. So we'll make a send render here, and now this jit.world, this middle outlet, every time frame is rendered, it sends a bang. So that way it's the render bang, and by making send and receive render bang pairs like this, we can make sure that this matrix gets sent out once every frame. And then let's also make a matrix to store. Well, let's start just by making another making a jit.gen object and connecting these up, and then we'll make a jit.matrix and name this one position, because this is the basic idea. Once per render, we're going to take the position of all these points, update them somehow through jit.gen, and then by sending them back to this named matrix, update the position of all these points. So finally, we'll throw down here a jit.mesh, gl.mesh at draw mode points at blend enable 1 at, let's forget the color for now. I think that should be good. I connect this like this. And then turn on this jit.world. And you can see maybe very faintly the tiniest single gray point right at the center of our render target there. And that's all those 10,000 points being drawn at exactly the same position. Not the most exciting patch in the world. What if, you know, the thing that you do with position is you change it, right? So let's try adding a little bit of velocity to these points. Let's make a new matrix and call it velocity. Velocity. And now let's go into this jit.gen and add a new outlet, out2. And for now, let's just connect the outlet straight up so that the position is being added to the velocity, but the velocity goes straight through. Make this gen a bit bigger. And then add a new reference here to jit.matrix velocity. Cool. And then connect this like this. Okay, and now you may notice that nothing is happening even if we send the render bang to this jit.matrix, this velocity matrix now, that we still have one gray point right in the center. That's of course because the velocity, this whole matrix is zeros. We're taking this position matrix full of zeros and adding zero velocity to those. And so of course, all we have is a bunch of points sitting listlessly and uselessly in the center of the screen. So let's fix that by adding a bit of noise. Simple as jit.noise, 3 float 32, 10,000. And every time we bang on this, we'll get some new noise. Noise happens to be between 0 and 1, so let's do jit.map at map 0, 1, -1, 1 to scale that noise to be in the range -1 to 1. And then let's do jit.times at val 0.01. And let's make a floating point box here so we can scale our noise up and down if we so choose. Cool, and then bang that noise right in. Look at, oh my god, look at that explosion of points. Let's see that again, shall we? If we send this jit.matrix object the message set all 0, we can send all those points back to 0 and see it all happening again. Whoa! Look at that. It's the Death Star explosion right there. Unbelievable. Such power. Well, we could, you know, call this tutorial complete right there, but I think we can do even better than that. Something that I found that's pretty sweet is you can take this floating point here that we're using to scale this noise up and down, and how about when we change that, we re-trigger the noise? Let's see what happens when we do that. So we'll do trigger bang float and send the float through to update this val, and then make this bang go back around and bang out a new noise. So now if we get that, make that explosion happen, let's like set this to 0, return the points to the center, and now I have this weird control over all of the points here. And in particular now, one thing we can do that's pretty sweet is why not instead of dragging this, I mean, we have this floating point box here, and that's fine, but we can add a lot more expressivity if we could control this floating point box using, say, the mouse. So let's do that. Let's make a mouse state object, throw in our render. So now with every render frame, we'll also grab the position of the mouse. And my screen happens to be 990 pixels tall. So we'll take the height here, the mouse vertical location, and divide it by well, I guess not 990 pixels. That's idiotic. It's 900 pixels tall. So we'll take that, divide by 900. And then I'm also going to multiply that by itself, like this. So squaring it. So that way we're kind of making it so that rather than mapping the points linearly, from 0 up to 1, in this way, if we map them according to this second power, it makes it so that we have more expressive range towards the lower end of the scale. So we'll bring that up here and connect that to this. And now let's go, Now let's click this, and then there are our points. And if I start moving the mouse down, they start to move around a little bit. And I can bring it back up to the top of the screen and freeze them. I really like the patterns that you can get this way. It's pretty cool. We may want to make these points a bit bigger. We can take this GL mesh and do at point size 3 maybe? Yeah, those are a bit more visible points. So one thing that you may notice as we do this is that once the points kind of fly off screen, they're gone. They're gone forever. Oh, are these? This isn't quite what I want. I don't want to get a new mouse state. I only want this to bang out a new noisy texture if we actually have a new value in here. So let's throw a change object in here so that if the mouse position doesn't change, we don't send out a new value. So that if I leave the mouse still, the points will just kind of fly around. One thing you may notice if we set the noise really high is that all the points just kind of fly away, and now we're left. See, now we have almost nothing left. There's only one point. They're gone. All the points are gone. I'm not sure why they're blinking out of existence, to be honest. It's a bit stupid, but anyway. Oh, they're blinking out of existence because we left the z-axis. There's still some noise in the z-axis, and that's what's ruining everything for us. So we can do jit.op at op pass 0 just to zero out the z-axis so our points don't fly through the camera or anything. That should fix that problem. But it's still, we have this problem where all the points, once they fly away, the points are gone. We have some shooting stars occasionally, but mostly they're gone. So to fix that, we should add in a new, we want to reset the position back to 0, basically, whenever the points fly off screen. So to do that, we can use a new jit.gen object, and it's going to look like this. We're going to leave the velocity alone, but for the position, we're going to take the length of the position, which actually in this case is just going to be the distance of a given point from the center of the screen. And then if that length happens to be too big, if the point has gone off screen, we're going to bring the point back to the center of this matrix. So the way you do that in Gen is with this question mark object, the conditional ternary operator, which given the truth state of something in its leftmost inlet, will either give you the value of the middle inlet or the right inlet. So now let's do, in this case, say greater than 2. We'll call 2 off screen. And if the length is greater than 2, we're just going to set the position back to 0. And if it's not greater than 2, we'll just use the original value of the point. So we'll leave the point unchanged if the length is 2. And now we just need to put this gen between this gen and the output here. So we'll delete these patch. Oh, can I do this? Oh my god. Wow. Wow. The future. Max 7. Worth every penny. Connect this gen to this gen. And now you can see these points flying away, but they're getting pulled back to the center of the screen. We have this cool square pattern going on too, which is kind of interesting. Neat. Okay, so we're almost to the point where I think this patch is expressive enough, but You know, all these points are gray, and this is a bit boring. I think it would be cool to maybe make it so the points could change color a bit over time. And I'm going to do that in a subtle way, rather than, you know, whatever crazy way we could do it. And just make it so the points start pure white, and then, or really, you know, intense white, and then fade out slowly over time. But to do that, we need to keep track of the age of these points. So as you might expect, I'm just going to throw in a new matrix here and call this age. And also send out this matrix every time we get a render. Let's move all this nonsense down a little bit so we can see what's going on. And we don't need to update the age in this matrix. Instead, we'll update it here in this jit.gen. So I'll add in a new in, call it in3, and a new out3. And the rules for in3 are going to be very similar to the rules for in1 over here. If a point flies off screen, we'll set its age back to 0. We'll make it a fresh point at the center of the screen. And otherwise, we'll just increase the age by 1. So we can copy all this stuff. It doesn't matter that we have an in here, an in here, an in here, and in here. We're not creating new inlets because those are all in 1. They all reference the same inlet. And so check this out. All we have to do to get that functionality, where you increment the age by 1 every time you calculate a new position for the point, is we just take the input value here from the age matrix, add 1, and we're done. That's it. Age is incremented by 1 if the point continues to exist, and if it flies off screen, then you just set the age back to 0. Simple as that. So that needs to go in here, of course. And we also need to reset the age matrix, like this. Boom, beautiful. So, last thing we can do that would be really cool, I think, would be to calculate the age or the color of these points based on the age. So what I'm going to do is make a new jit.gen here, only taking in one input, the age. Oops. And we'll just do this. We'll just take the age and we'll do a scaling operation. We'll say scale from 0 up to 150. And scale that to be in the range of 1 to 0. So the points will start out with full alpha and then go down to 0. Yeah, that's fine. And then we'll just do vec to pack in these values of 1, 1, 1, and whatever happens to be the age of that particle. I think that'll do it. And then we should be able to send that, the age, into this jit.gen, and then send that directly into the color array. And the points should be gradually fading out over time. And if you're astute, you may have noticed that they're not fading out gradually over time. The reason for that is because one of the things that jit.gen can't do is change the plane count or the dimensions of the matrix that comes in. Whatever the dimensions of the matrix that comes in are, those are going to be the dimensions of the matrix coming out. So we're trying to set the color here with a 4-plane matrix, red, green, blue, and alpha. But we only have 3 planes, red, green, or whatever, X, Y, and Z. So it's leaving out the alpha channel, even though here in jit.gen, we set an alpha channel explicitly. One way around that is just to take this matrix and do jit.pack4. And this will just add on an extra dummy. See, look at that. Now our points are fading out. And we can make these pretty shapes. Pretty. Isn't that cool? I think it's pretty cool. Definitely gives me the impression of a kind of snow. Yeah, nice. So we're basically as far as I want to take this. The last thing that I think would be cool is, we're using 10,000 points, but let's make it so that we can use as many points as we want. So I'll just make a number up here, an integer box, and give it a lower limit of 0. And let's then make a send box here. Send dim. And let's do this, dim $1, so that we can use this to update the dimensions of all these matrices. So I'll just make an rdim and attach that to this matrix, to this matrix, the velocity matrix, the position matrix, the age matrix, and finally the noise matrix up here. And now let's set this to, let's see what this MacBook Pro is all about. Let's set this to 100,000. Oh my God, so many points. Really, it's an incredible number of points. Doesn't that give you the impression of a nice, I'm not sure what snow this really looks like, but it's kind of like snow. It's vaguely like snow. There is this really strange, if you leave the mouse in a position, you can see this kind of, I guess aliasing is what you would call this in the pattern, which is kind of cool. There's a way to get around that if instead of using, evenly distributed noise like we're using, if you used Gaussian noise. One last thing that I'm going to do, even though it kind of makes this video extra long, is I want to make it so that we can add like a prevailing wind, so that if the set it to 10 points for now, so that if I move the mouse left and right, it will kind of make the points blow to one side or the other. So let's also add in here a, I guess we don't need this change. Let's add in something else here to look at the X position of the mouse state. And my screen is 1440 pixels wide. So this will take the X position of the mouse, and I want to use that to add an offset to this noisy matrix. So I'll put that in here between the map and the multiplication. So let's do jit.plus at val 0, 0, 0. I think I missed the point. Yeah. Connect that like this. And then coming out of this guy, we'll do scale 0, 1, -1, 1, so that we can make the wind blow left or right. And then we'll just do val $1, 0, 0. So we'll be able to add a little wind in the X direction with the mouse. Let's see if this works. Might be working, but they're only 10 points. Let's go back up to 100,000. Oh my Lord. That's pretty cool. I'm into that effect. I'm into these effects where it's kind of actually really simplistic what we're doing in the patch, but by adding this mouse control, you can actually make it do some pretty cool, deliberate things, which I kind of like. You can kind of like swoop down and get some points out there, and then bring the mouse up to the top of the screen and let them fade out. Looks pretty cool, especially if you do something like this. Yeah, it's neat. Well, anyway, there's my snowy patch for the day. I hope you thought that was interesting, and there's definitely a lot of directions that you can take. This basic formula where you have data about each position that you want to draw somehow, that you update once per frame and then send to some context to be drawn, is super powerful. I mean, it's how all particle-based systems more or less work. It's how jit.shiva and jit.vishnu, the old school pre-gen way to do particles in jitter work. And yeah, it's just a generally really cool technique. So I hope you enjoy that. And if you're in New York, enjoy this snow. And I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.